Guys, as we move through this discussion, you all four of you have had a lot of experience in not only performing as a character, but developing and either from scratch or advancing a character in its existence. How would you describe, really that what mindset goes into, talk about maybe in your case, Marc, Rumble from scratch, or Rob, in your case, like how did you inherit Coyote and then advance the character to a level that you were happy with, or you wanted to add new things to? I'm kind of curious what goes through your mindset as both from a performance standpoint, but also just as really the brains behind that character. Rob, you want to start us off there?
Sure. Obviously my situation was weird because Tim, the guy before me, was outed. And so everyone knew this is a new guy. So that was a weird experience to walk into a game. I always make the joke, the day I did my first game, there was an opinion article in the local paper in which the title of it was "The Coyote is Dead." And this guy said, "I love the guy, and I don't care who's in that costume. Coyote is dead to me. Like, I'll never like the character again." And so that's sort of what I walked into. But I always said, everything happens so fast, as you know, right? All of us know, being in live entertainment, you can't second guess. You can't worry about well, this guy did it this way, so I'm going to try. I just was me, and it's either going to work or it's not. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Thank you, Marc.
It worked for a little while.
It worked out. Appreciate it.
Hey, there's nowhere to go but up. You started off dead.
That's a good point. It can't get any worse. So, yeah, it was an interesting transition because everyone loved that guy and could never imagine anyone else in that costume. I didn't have the opportunity that nobody knew, and it just sort of was a smooth transition, but it worked out.
Well, I mean, if with what you were doing, Rob, though, I think I'm no disrespect to Tim, and I love Tim and what he did, opening the doors for all of us. But I think you took the character to another level on the athleticism side, and to me, watching, I didn't see that there was much of a difference. I mean, you were spot on.
Yeah.
Being the character, but I thought you and your creativeness when I would watch your videos and stuff, I don't know, I thought you took it to a whole new level.
Yeah, his
thanks.
videos were groundbreaking. Like that was the bar following them. Just not only just the creative ideas, but the production quality was incredible.
Marc, when it came time to transition from a long performance at Squatch and really have to start over from scratch, what was that experience like for you?
I found it very refreshing because I had stepped into Squatch after I was the third performer. They had John Sweeney did it for about a year and a half, and then Adam Hardy took over for. Absey's laughing over there.
Cudo does a great John Sweeney impression.
I've still never met him. I've never met him in my life. And Adam Hardy, I've seen him once in person. So Adam Hardy was the second guy. He did it for 4 years. And Adam was an amazing dunker, great athlete. So stepping into Squatch, it was, I had a lot of weight on my shoulders to try to keep up the persona with that. But the team didn't really care. They were just saying, you don't have to continue this like Squatch was before. You can make it your own. So that was nice. And I quickly did that from the beginning because there's no way I could have kept up the dunks that he was doing. I never had that skill, and don't think I could ever have that. I've proven that I couldn't ever get that. But so then when I got to, as soon as I heard we were moving to Oklahoma City, I had this great opportunity in Oklahoma City to really take all the best things from everyone that I've learned and stay away from the bad things. And so I knew with Squatch, that was probably one of the coolest characters. I think most of the guys would agree. Again, not because of me in it, but just the style of costume, the more realistic. It's more of a, the badass kind of thing, but it still has a little bit of the lovable, huggable side of it. it's not a Disney kind of, smiley character type thing. So it was great so I wanted to take some of that into my new character, and then I could really just make it my own. I mean, you'll see a lot of similarities between Squatch and Rumble, but Rumble was really who I wanted a character to be, and it was just so much more natural and easy for me to do that. And then getting to really pick the name from the ground floor, the logo, I mean, all the branding, designing the character. I work with Alico Costumes out in Salt Lake City. So I told them, we're going to be going with a Bison, send me some pictures, some drawings, picked out the best one, and we had a team at the Thunder and then our marketing agency kind of helped us walk through that and picking out, which character, the direction we wanted to go with the look, and then just starting to build that. And really, it's just a cool opportunity.
Cudo, when we covered earlier, you were in Minnesota, and then Portland, and then Cleveland. Did I get that correct?
You did.
Okay. So, each of those little different, but when you got to Cleveland, you helped create Moondog. Is that accurate?
I did. They had the name in sort of a direction, but then I picked up with the costume, right about the costume process time. So yeah, in each of my cases since college with Crunch and Swoosh, Spot, and Moondog, I was the original. So it's funny because I actually can't really process how it would be like in Rob's case where you're jumping in for someone else and how to play that balance off. And when I left the Cavs, it was actually kind of hard, like helping steer like how much of this should be what I did and the character that I built, as opposed to bringing in the strengths of somebody else, knowing it's going to look different and be different, but you don't want it to be like, a completely different character walking in. So I kind of struggle with thinking about how to process that if you're filling in for someone else. But I think in most of my cases, especially with Crunch and Swoosh and Spot, I just felt like a lot of the character was driven by the costume design. Like you couldn't, like the actions that Crunch did, who's kind of a brash badass, wouldn't fit at all in Spot, who was just look kind of like a candy ass puppy, and it just, so you had to kind of play off of the look and feel of a costume. And in some cases, like Marc said, you're involved in that from the get-go, where you're directing how that looks. But if you're not, you have to kind of play off of what looks natural and what's going to fit within the look of the costume.
Like Cudo is when you can start your own character, and not have to follow somebody. Because I think that's a real hindrance when, like for Marc, having to go in, and Rob, to go in and go, what would they do? Like if I'm in a situation, what would Tim do? What's Adam going to do? I think it makes an extra step in there, and it throws it off a little bit. I was fortunate enough to where, like, basically the character was me. I wasn't acting. It was just me being dumb and, running around and being spontaneous. So I was really fortunate because it was easy for me to be Bear. And I think, to help it grow was because of the guys sitting right here, and a lot of the other guys. Is my character really wasn't as much about me creating it as it was me finding, like Rob said, not Rob, Taylor said about finding the good things when he went to Oklahoma. And I was like, I would watch those highlight videos and I'd be like, oh, I see what Cudo's doing there. I see what Rob's doing or Marc's doing or Bob. And I'd be like, I like the way they do that. And I just kind of built the Bear as a conglomeration of everybody else. Like Taylor said, all the good things. And then, throughout my career, it was just, it turned into just having fun. And I think for all of us, I think that was key. Is you can tell when you're out there and you're just enjoying your job and having fun, and you're not stressed and under pressure that it has to come out this way. I never had a plan. And these guys can sort of attest, is I never really planned anything. I was really spontaneous. When I would do a skit, I'd give certain people just a gist. Like our on-court guy, I'd always be like, this is kind of where we're going. This has to be mentioned. Otherwise, we're shooting from the hip. And we'd go out there, and it was just fun. It was fun to be spontaneous, and it was just fun to have fun. So coming on with Alinco, and God bless them for having the trust in me. But, really what I've been trying to do is, being that I was a performer, I put on everybody's heads, and I'm like, no, this ain't going to work. And, we got to adjust the head here, or the eyes aren't working. So they're a lot of times they put it on, and if you're not a performer, you don't understand it's the little things that matter. And for me, when I was in suit, when I would get my head back, if they put the helmet in wrong, it sat funny and I couldn't perform. I felt like a guy in a suit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To where I didn't feel like the bear. So I'd have to make sure that thing fit just right. And if it didn't, it was hard for me to perform. So, but Alinko's amazing. Yeah. And I just appreciate them bringing me on.
That's great insight, because I think we've had a couple opportunities, most recently with the Las Vegas Aces, and helping create their character buckets and working with Alinko on that. And it's amazing sometimes the detail that goes into it that the common person is just not going to think it is a big deal, but for you guys in the suit could make or break your ability to do something. And that's, I think it would be fun for sports fans to, it's kind of hard for them to learn, but just even to know that fact of, in a lot of ways that you guys are performing, and the technical specifications are a lot of times common to the players on the court, because it does really need to be that high professional level. And there's a huge difference between a high quality costume and one that's just getting by.